Hi, friends. Wanting to start a brief series on committing tunes to memory. Some strategies and helpful recommendations to do that. I don't want any of us to be frustrated trying to learn these tunes and remember them. I'll have different recommendations that some of the recommendations will resonate with you and others won't. That's perfectly fine. We're all different. One of the beauties of learning music, though, is that music connects with us much deeper than disconnected content. When you learn music, you hear it, you start to plant that memory. You can feel it in your body, and it makes you happy. And that all aids and helps create memory. But that memory needs to be connected to playing your whistle. So it's one thing to hear a tune and go, I know that tune. It's another to pull out your whistle and start playing that tune. So how do we move from I don't know the tune to I recognize the tune to I can play the tune from memory? And those are some of the things we're going to talk about. It's funny, everybody's really different. Some things are going to work for you that don't work for me, and vice versa. And it's funny, the things people remember. I, for example, if we met on the street, I'd remember your face and I'd have a rough time with your name. I work on it, and it's something that's tough for me. When I was in seminary, I don't know, not quite 50 years ago yet, one of the administrators had this amazing ability, a gift, to meet someone and he knew their name. And I don't know how he did it. If he saw you, if he hadn't seen you for a few years, when he saw you, he'd call you by name. He'd ask how your parents were by name. It's like, wow, that's crazy. I have some friends who, if they drive somewhere once, even if it's complicated, they could go back there again. Not me. When my wife and I watch movies and stuff and read books, I remember lines. I don't remember who the actors were. I probably don't even remember the name of the story. Isn't it funny how we're all different? So some of the recommendations are going to be like, for you, like, oh, that's so exciting. Other recommendations, maybe not so exciting. Stay with us. This is all important because we're going from here's a tune to I know the tune, I can play the tune, I remember the tune. And also in there's a transition to I'm able to express the tune. When I was a young musician, no one taught me to be free from music. This is another conversation for another day. But I was trapped to the printed page, and I didn't learn to rely on my mind and my heart to express the tune. If it wasn't written down, I was kind of nailed to it. I was having a hard time. And then I finally learned to step away from that. So we want to talk about some strategies and purposes of memorizing. So what you do is a couple of basic thoughts today, and we're going to build on some of them as we go. You're taking a piece of music and you're giving it a happy home in your brain. That might sound silly, it might sound trite, but it's true. You place something in your brain that you're not emotionally connected to, that you have no reason to remember. You're going to have a hard time ever finding that again. Like you cram for a test. You might remember that information for a day. 3 days later, you won't. Chances are. There are studies, and you don't need the charts, but basically you could cram a bunch of data in your brain and you're going to know it for a brief period. And then there is a precipitous drop-off not long after that. And there are ways and methods to help retain memory and build memory. And that's some of the strategies we're going to talk about. But basically, you've got to find ways to tell your brain, hey, this stuff I'm sticking in there, I like it, and I want you to remember it and be able to pull it out. And it's funny, but that's basically what you're doing. So here is a simple one for us to get started with. And the simple one is one I think you know. It's repetition. Revisit the content. Like if I grab my whistle and I play a tune and I play it once, I've not stored that as a memory. If I play it a couple dozen times in that one sitting and I walk away and don't play it again for months, I've not stored a memory, or at much of one, not one that's easy to recall. It'll be very stumbly because I've not committed that to more of a long-term memory. And so I do that by working on it over a period of time. So what you'll do is you listen to a tune and go, oh, I like that tune. I want to learn that tune. I want to play that tune. And so your brain's enjoying it. You ever notice how you hear some tunes from your childhood you haven't sung in years and bam, you're able to pull that thing out? Where'd that come from? That came because you had enough repetition of something you enjoyed that it took a happy home. It made a happy home in your brain. And so you can do that. So you intentionally take a piece of music, listen to it a few times, start playing along with it, because you want that growing memory of the tune to be connected to your growing playing of the tune. Now you're going to get stumbly, you're going to miss bits. If you use music in tabs, use the music in tabs and look away now and then, because you can't be married to that music in tabs. So start in the morning, for example. Play it a few times, listen to it a few times, play along, set it aside. Hit it a couple times in the afternoon. Do it tomorrow. After a few days of doing that, you're going to go, oh, this is just part of your regular practice. You added this tune in a couple of times a day as part of your practice. After a few days, you're going to think, I know this tune. You're going to walk around the house with your whistle playing the tune. And everybody's going to go outside. No. And then set it aside for a day or two. And then your brain's relaxing on it. But don't let more than a day or two pass. Come back, refresh that memory. So you see, it's not just that constant early repetition. It's that period of, I learned this, now I've got to pause and I'm gonna reconnect with it. It's that really helps seat a memory. And so you're going to do that a few times. I'm going to learn it to be happy with it. Take a quick break. I'm going to relearn it to be happy with it. Take a quick break. And after doing that a few times, and I'm not saying hours a day, I'm saying play it a few times in the morning, in the afternoon, whenever you play. And then revisit it the next day. Take a break. Come back and revisit it again. Pretty soon, without much attempt, you are giving the tune a happy home in your brain. That regular focus that is then repeated for enough of a period of time that the tune takes on, it just becomes part of your active memory. If you ignore it, it's going to go out of that easily accessed memory. So you want it to be something you can retain. There were things I learned in college and grad school that I did really well on that I couldn't tell you today unless I worked really, really hard to try and refresh it, because I haven't paid attention to it for 45 years. Practice. Learn it some. Connect with the music. Connect the music in your brain with the instrument. Practice it a few days. Set it aside for a brief day. Pick it up for a few days again. Work on it, and after because we're talking about regular practice anyway. Take a tune, learn a tune. You might be doing this with 2 or 3 tunes at a time. That's great. And you're seating all of these in your memory. We're going to talk about some other strategies in the next few videos. I'm not going to get too crazy. We're not going to get into any massive theories because you'll zone out and I will zone out. So I just want to give us helpful strategies to give this music a happy home in our brains, also connected with playing. So some more ideas coming up. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling and happy remembering.